minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, four, three, two, one. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yeah, you know it is. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Friday. Welcome into it. Great to have you along for the ride today as we continue to do what we do each and every day, trying to cram 10 pounds of reason into a 5-pound bag, rebranding the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. Welcome in, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here from the flagship radio station of the Big Talker KQAM in Wichita, Kansas. All over on numerous radio stations, TV stations, live streaming, podcasting, wherever you may be, however you may be listening. Appreciate you very, very much for doing so. It's the end of the week, so you made it. Congratulations on that one. And I am so excited about the show today. I am amped. I am pumped. It feels like a Monday where we should have a whole lot new energy, and I don't know how, because it's been a crazy, wild week. And I'm excited to get to our guest here in just a second, and maybe I can kind of tee it up in this sense, is we have a few things to cover today. We have more spikes in the coronavirus, people panicking about that, of course. I know. We have Republicans that are apparently alarmed that Democrats are fundraising and getting so much money, and how Democrats could be taking the election in 2020. We'll get to that here in just a second. Plus, we have Republicans that are trying to protect businesses, and how dare them stop the liability fall onto private business with COVID-19. I know. So I want to get to all that today. Plus, we have, and this will be perfect to be able to tee up for our next guest because I'm really excited here. We have Mary Trump going around selling her book, promoting her book, President Trump trying to stop it because it's ridiculous. Now, you got to remember, there's nothing new here because every election cycle, all the politicians, anybody who wants to be famous, anybody who's halfway involved and wants to have a nice little 15 minutes in the spotlight, they come out with a book to trash an elected official right before election time, like Mary Trump, because it's perfect timing. It's going into election. He's going to get reelected. She doesn't like that it's going to get reelected, so she has to come out now and talk about how he's unfit to be president and how he can't actually handle a lot of issues.
He's utterly incapable of leading this country. And it's dangerous to allow him to do so.
Mm-hmm. Now, That would be a message that would be interesting like 4 years ago before he got elected, but he's been president for 4 years now. So whether you like him or not, if you don't like him, then that's fine. But don't say that he's incapable of leading the country if he's obviously led the country for the last 4 years. That doesn't make any sense. And she said some other ridiculous, stupid things as well. So we'll play that here in just a second. But with our next guest, I figured that maybe she'd have the perfect response to something like this, as she is the author of the book, Dear Donald, Letters from a Loving Deplorable. A deplorable. I know. Excited to have on the program Sandra Lee with us today. Sandra, how are you today?
I'm just fine, thank you. How are you?
I am living the dream. I really appreciate you coming on. Mary Trump saying that he is unfit to lead this country. How does that message even resonate with people today? Because whether you like him or not, I guess some say that he's unfit to lead the country, but he's obviously been doing it for 4 years. So how do people actually fall for something like that?
Well, they don't. I mean, who is Mary Trump? Give me a break.
Yeah.
You know, I've read like 100 books on Donald Trump. Plus, I lived in New York for many, many years. I saw Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani clean up New York City. Thank God for them.
Yeah.
They did a brilliant job of cleaning up the city.
Absolutely.
As did not Blasio. Blasio, please God help us. What he's doing is a nightmare. But this Mary Trump she has the audacity to talk about Donald Trump's mental health and capacity. Give me a break. What about her mental health? All these books that I read, gazillions of books. I'm a book reader. I read the book that the psychiatrist wrote. You know, this psychiatrist likes to write about every president, and he analyzes every president. Well, according to him, this one has that neurosis, that one has the other neurosis. Who doesn't have a neurosis? You show me a man alive or a woman alive who isn't in some ways neurotic. The bottom line is Donald Trump is a genius. Donald Trump has many eccentricities and a very colorful past, but he is a genius, and he is a changed man. You tell me anybody walking the street, man or woman, who in their young years or past years has not sinned, made mistakes, done stupid things, had horrible thoughts. There isn't anybody walking the earth who is not a sinner. And so I am able to forgive Donald Trump anything that he may have done in the past. I love what he's doing in the present. And I think he's growing spiritually. And I'm quite thrilled to see that happen. I'm quite thrilled to see it happen. And I see him sitting in a White House office with people he's rescued from jails in countries around the world, laying hands on him and praying in tongues, being so spiritual, just thanking God for the presence of this good man. He has become a good man, and he is doing a lot of good things. So much for that woman. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Well, you're absolutely right, and we have seen growth in him between, I get it, you're a billionaire when you're young. Of course, you're going to be doing crazy, ridiculous things because you think you're on top of the world, so you're going to think the world is your oyster, and you're going to go and shell it, so to speak. So now he's grown up quite a bit. He's been the most pro-life president that we've ever seen in there, and a lot of individuals say that it was divine intervention that put him into office in the first place. But I seem to remember when he first got into office, they questioned this as well. And they said that he was aimlessly walking around the White House in his robe, that he had no idea what he was doing or where he was, that he was saying absurd things because he was in over his head, and that he had a mental instability. And they made him take a physical. They didn't even make him take a physical. He chose to do a physical, both a mental IQ test and a physical. And even with them eating all the McDonald's that everybody gave him a hard time for and that he'd be super unhealthy, the doctor came back and said that physically you are extremely healthy and you're just fine for your age. And your IQ test came back and you are completely sharp. There is nothing wrong with you whatsoever. But even then, the media didn't even believe it. And now with the book 4 years later, she comes out, and I think it's a publicity stunt to be able to get money and be successful or try and damage him right before the election. Do you think it's actually going to work?
No, I don't think it's going to work. Listen, people who want to go against him are going to grab onto it if they think it will help. But I worked in a lot of political offices making phone calls to voters. So believe me, I am not lying to you when I tell you hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people want to vote for Donald Trump. but they're not going to tell you that
No.
when you call them. Unless they can trust you, they're not going to tell you that. So these polls are completely off the wall. I don't even believe them. I don't even pay attention to them. This woman who wrote this book is the black sheep of the family. You know, Donald Trump is a star. He's an international star. Now, is he up against a tsunami? You better believe he is.
Sure.
Because this is an evil world filled with a lot of evil people who have been as much gold as they can for themselves, and they've sold their souls, and he is, for whatever reason, become a man who wants to make a difference, and he's coming from a very genuine, heartfelt place, making waves, and they're scary waves, they're tidal waves. And so I can't tell you that I'm not concerned about some of the things that are going on. You think this China virus was a mistake? It was not.
Right.
This is germ warfare.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that we shut
Trump-
down the economy so badly now when we didn't even do the same thing for all the other viruses that we've had under the Barack Obama administration, but yet
such manipulation.
Yeah.
Really, we've got to crawl out of this. We will. Donald Trump has snakes around him in every direction, and he's a brilliant, brave, bold, beloved man. Boy, look at all those B's. I've got to give him some A's. He's exceptionally bright, and he's on top of his game, and I've never seen anybody with more energy than this man. He gets me up. I'm telling you, I get up in the morning and go, and then I go, wait a minute. If Donald Trump can do it, kiddo, you can do it. Get up and get writing, get moving, get some interviews, get the word out. You know, fight for this, fight for what you believe in. He's a fighter, and he inspires me to be a fighter. I just think he's great.
That is really great inspiration. You're right. When you have those tough days, just be like, remember, the entire half the country and the entire media outlets out against Donald Trump each and every day. We're talking with Sandra Lee, the author of Dear Donald, Letters from a Loving Deplorable. Let's talk about your book for a second, because while we have Mary Trump out there saying that he's like mentally incapable of running the country and he's a loon and he's lost his mind and he's a narcissist and all this other garbage, what led you to write your book, Letters from a Loving Deplorable?
Well, I started writing letters to Donald Trump. They were pouring out of me like speaking in tongues. I don't know where this came from. I don't know why I started writing this book. I was just inspired by the work that he was doing. And I was just having fun doing the writing and sending it to friends and family. You know, I was a school teacher. I had a talk show in New York. I'm a talker. I'm a writer. Not writing. I've done a lot of writing. I published magazines. So, you know, writing is my thing. But why am I writing about Donald Trump of all people?
Sure.
Because I believe in him. It's a spiritual book, which I never thought it would be. That was not my intention. But I honestly feel, you know, and so these spiritual feelings were coming out of me that were not typical, ordinarily right. But I had strong spiritual feelings that he was chosen by God for the work that he was doing. And so these letters, letter after letter, were about my life and about things that were going on in his life. See, his whole first term. The second book, Dear Donald, 4 More Years, I continued to talk about my life and things that were going on in his life and his presidency. It's spiritual. It's love, democratic. It's not inspiring. It's uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
The second cover is me with balloons and fireworks, and I'm very positive that we're going to have 4 more years. That's my next book, Dear Donald, 4 More Years. It'll be out in August. I believe in this man.
Yeah.
And so each letter, and you know, the whole Bible is really a collection of letters. All the apostles put that Bible together. It's a collection of their letters, a lot of letters. So I said, hey, if the Bible can do it, I can do it. Letters are very, very powerful tools because they're spontaneous and they're not academic. They're heartfelt. And so it's easy reading. You know, Kanye West, I'll talk about Kanye West. I'll do 2 pages on Kanye West. I'll talk about Mike Pence. I'll do 3 pages on Mike Pence. I'll talk about the social aspects of kids in school and what's going on with kids going back to school. I'll do 4 pages on that. I'll talk about Pascal being the Brad Pascal who's replaced by, I have lots of things to say about that. I'll write about that for 2 or 3 pages. So it's not cumbersome.
Sure.
It's light. You're reading a letter. You get interesting points about what's going on in politics, but you get a spiritual voice. You get a kind voice. You get a Republican slant, but it's not hateful. There is not one hateful word in that book toward anyone. And that's important. So I'm very much interested in speaking to the educated suburban woman.
Sure.
I'm an educated suburban woman.
Yeah.
And
I tell you what, Sandra, hold on the line. Hold on the line real quick here. We got to take a hard break. It's Sandra Lee with Dear Donald, Letters from a Loving Deplorable. I want to talk about some more that's in the book there. Plus, as you mentioned, with the COVID virus and the schools and how Donald Trump's been handling everything so far. We'll get into that when we come back. It's the Voice of Reason. It's a Friday. We got lots to get to here on the show. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hoosier Media Network, visit us on the website at HoosierReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
I love some of the conversation going on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, plus online at HoosierReason.com. You can go and check that out. We have the podcast there. We have the live stream going on. We have all the special features you can check out. We have the blogs. We have the newsletter you can sign up for to become an official Hoosierholic. On the Podbean live stream... interesting. All right. Got a quote-unquote conservative not liking the Donald Trump and going after the guest a little bit, saying we can't be conservative and supporting Donald Trump. I'm glad you mentioned that. We have a guest coming on Monday talking about the anti-never-Trumper Republicans, so I think that'll be a great conversation to have as well. And that's maybe something we can talk about here in just a little bit later in the show. But right now we have another segment with Sandra Lee. Dear Donald, Letters from a Loving Deplorable is her latest book on Amazon, also at bookstores. You can go and check that out. Let's talk about, first off, real quickly, I know this is a shorter segment, but talk real quickly about those that are conservative but hate Trump and kind of the division within the Republican Party. I don't think it's that large of a crowd anymore that's still so we hate Trump no matter what from the Republican side, is it?
Well, Trump is a disruptor. He competed with a lot of people. Some of them took that competition graciously and used it to their advantage and got behind him and supported him. And some of them not so much. A lot of ego in politics, a lot of ambition. And so if you couldn't beat him, many of them decided to join him, and they supported what he was all about. But some of them couldn't put their egos back where they belonged, and they're still fighting for their own moment of glory. There is a lot of ego in politics, and there's a lot of money in politics. So, you don't know who's playing the game honestly and who's not. I'm voting for Donald Trump because I believe that at this time in his life, his intentions are wholesome, spiritually driven, and that he wants the final statement of his life to be one that is positive and supportive of mankind, and he wants to leave this earth feeling really good about what he did. And he's working hard for it. But, a lot of people are, even in the Republican Party, they have their own ambitions. So you always have to be a little careful to take that into consideration.
No, that's very true. We got just about a minute and a half left as we kind of wrap this up, but talk about your thoughts on how he's handled the virus outbreak and with the shutting down of the economy, the criticism that he shut it down, the criticism that he hasn't handled it right, that he didn't get resources out, that we're opening up schools too soon. Where are we at with this, and has he done a good job, and is it going to affect one way or another with the election?
He's doing a brilliant job. He's doing a brilliant job. The whole world is struggling with this, and they're not necessarily fighting the Democrats. He's fighting the Democrats who will use any and every issue to conquer him. The thing he's fighting right now is getting kids back in school because people have to work and the economy has to survive. And kids, oh my God, the family is falling apart. I was a former school teacher. These kids have got to get back in school, particularly the little ones, up to 6th grade. Those are crucial years. They need to be in school, and they're safe. These young ones are safe. They're not going to get sick, and they're not going to spread the disease. So they're very safe. This has been done safely all over the world. In the Dutch, the French, Israel, Australia, China, Swiss, Denmark, Norway, Japan, all over the world it's working. So we have to listen to Trump and not so much to that Fauci guy. I don't trust him as far as I can throw. I just don't. I think a lot of that science is exaggerated. And a lot of the counting that's done around the country is not absolutely accurate.
Sure.
All kinds of mistakes are being made. You're talking about hundreds of millions of people here.
Yeah,
So
it's
a lot
terrible.
to keep track of.
It's a lot to keep track of. It's Sandra Lee. The book is Dear Donald, Letters from a Loving Deplorable. You can find it all over online on Amazon Bookstore. Sandra, we got to get you back on the program again real soon. Good luck with the book, and we appreciate it very much.
Thanks so much. It was my pleasure.
Hey.
Nice to be here.
Always a pleasure to get you on the program. We'll do it again here real soon. Bottom of the hour news coming up. It's the Voice of Reason.
With Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hoosier Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hoosier Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices.
From iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn, make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. It is a Friday. Thanks for hanging out with us today as we try to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time, trying to bring reason, common sense, and understanding to some of the crazy issues of the day, which we appreciate you hanging out with us each and every day as well. Make sure to check us out, HoosierReason.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Can you believe we are over halfway through the month of July, which is halfway through the year already, which is crazy to think about. So we are getting ready for another newsletter to come out at the beginning of next month. If you have not signed up yet, go to HoosierReason.com and you'll see the pop-up show up and say, do you want to become a Hoosier-holic? And you say, heck yeah, I do. Because why not? And you can get the monthly newsletter from us right here talking about some of the deeper issues. Plus, we talk about some of the great holidays of the month, other things to look towards. We have some really cool projects in the works right now between the Hoosier Media Network with some of the podcasting stuff and online shows that we're working on, between stuff with the show and the Voice of Reason that I'm really, really excited about, because we just had some, this week was crazy, some really good conversations about some potential opportunities for this show. So stay tuned, and more things to come here very soon, but we are growing exponentially, and I am so excited with some of the projects. I can't disclose them right now because they're not locked in and sealed, but we have some really cool things that we're going to be announcing here very, very soon. Some great conversation on social media right now, and I think we need to break it down because we're going into election season, so why not? Donald Trump obviously has the nomination for the Republican Party. The RNC has not happened yet, per se, to officially cast the votes for him to make him the official nominee, but he's president. He has all the delegates. Everything's fine. But with some of the conversation going on social media right now about the Trump and Republican versus conservative versus whatever in his past and the things that he's done, and is he good, is he bad? Most listeners know, if you've listened to me for any short amount of time, that I was not a Donald Trump supporter in the primaries of 2016. I was a Ted Cruz guy. Every time that he mentioned the word Constitution, as Keith Olbermann talked about, the shiver ran up the leg, right? And conservatives really got that. They love the Ted Cruz mentality, and it took me a while to get on board with the Donald Trump mindset to understand what was going on. And the more I understood, the better I got to understanding it, to where it made sense, to where Ted Cruz was the conservative that really would abide by the Constitution and go with constitutional things. However, that was trying to fight against the system that was set up against him. Half the Republican Party is trying to isolate and run out the conservatives like they did Rand Paul and the Libertarians, like they're trying to do with Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and some of the other great conservatives within the Republican Party. Donald Trump came in with a populist movement, a conservative populist movement that was a little bit different flavor. We didn't quite know what to think about it. It was different. He was brass. He just called people out, and he had no problem calling them out, and he kind of went at his own pace and the beat of his own drum. And we were not used to it. And some people still aren't used to it. And you're right, he's not the most conservative guy. And I'm about as conservative as you can get. And he's not the most conservative guy. I don't like the punishments with a lot of the tariffs that he's done, per se. I understand them. I just don't necessarily like them. And maybe that's what we need right now. I don't know. But I'm not necessarily a fan of them. I don't like the fact that he did the bump stock ban and went after. He's actually done more to restrict the Second Amendment than what Barack Obama. Barack Obama talked a big fight with it, talked a big game, but he never actually got to get it done. Donald Trump has. He's banned bump stock. He's talked about Second Amendment regulations. He's talked about some other things. And it was concerning to some conservatives. But overall, he's a business guy. He's not politically, ideologically driven. And that's the big thing that I had to wrap my head around back then. And maybe some Republicans, I don't think it's many. But I mean, look at how well Joe Walsh did trying to run against him. Look at the write-in ballots. There's nothing. There's none. There's none. He has a 92, 93, 94% approval rating among Republicans right now nationally, and that poll's been going on for the last year or two, and he still maintains that high approval rating among Republicans. Most Republicans have gotten on board with him. Blue Dog Democrats, union workers, laborers that predominantly vote Democrat, voted for Donald Trump in the last election. That says something. He resonates with people that usually conservative messages don't because he's a business guy. He's not politically and ideologically driven. And that's a good thing, I think. It's different. It's foreign. It's not something that we're usually used to. But at the same time, it's kind of refreshing, isn't it? It's not about a hardline, party line, ideologically driven mindset or agenda. It's, I'm a business guy, so whatever deal's going to work. And if this deal works here, if we can compromise over here, then that's what he does. And sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't like it. But I think overwhelmingly, Republicans do support President Donald Trump, but he's not the most conservative guy. There is a different sect. He's kind of segregated. We already had a split within the Republican Party, a two-way split between the conservative constitutionalists and the establishment big government rhinos, per se. And he kind of put a third sect in there with the populist movement. And I got to say, first off, I'm not a fan of populist movements. We've talked about it before. It kind of lowers the level of understanding of political issues to a level that's unhealthy, I think, and could be very devastating in the long haul. But we need the bull in the china shop to kind of run things out, expose a lot of the shenanigans going on in D.C., kind of reset the button with Donald Trump. Then we bring a constitutionalist conservative in, and we start to rebuild based on those principles again. But look at what he's doing. And if for those that are still wavering against Donald Trump as a Republican, we have right now some of the most conservative judges going in, not just on the Supreme Court, but all over the country because of Donald Trump. We have right now some sad decisions coming out of the Supreme Court because of John Roberts. That was the old guard Republicans by George W. Bush, not from Donald Trump. The Donald Trump ones have been overwhelmingly, for the most part, very conservative. And if he gets another chance, I just saw a story today that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, back in the news again. A few days ago, she was in the hospital for having an infection because, she had to do like 2 weeks of work, and then she had to go to the hospital because she's been out for the last year, however long she's been. Now she's, according to CNBC.com, the Supreme Court's Ruth Bader Ginsburg says that she'll be treated for liver cancer, but still working, quote unquote, full steam. At what point do you finally bow out and say, I can't do this anymore? I know she hates Trump. I know she does. How long can you possibly hang in there to try and wait for the election before you finally cannot do your job anymore? And at what point do we finally say, or elected officials finally say, we've had enough, you're not doing your job, you can't show up to do your job, you're being treated for cancer. This is like a John McCain scenario all over again, where he had brain cancer, he despised Trump, and he wasn't in D.C. for over a year, and he wasn't there for critical votes like the government shutdown, with DACA repealing, with immigration and building the wall, with tax cuts. He wasn't there for any of it. And with such a close margin Republicans had of a majority, we needed every vote we could. And where was John McCain? My friends, we're on the Straight Talk Express. And he wanted to stick it to Donald Trump, so he ended up not showing up and stayed in Arizona with his brain cancer. And he hung on to that seat until the day he died because he refused to give it up and allow someone to get in there to actually work. That's how much it seems like the never-Trumpers on the Republican side, and I don't like to talk about Trump much because there's so much drama with it anyways, it's ridiculous, but it's an interesting conversation for election season. It seems like the never-Trumpers hate him so much that they'd rather have progressive liberal socialists get in office than Donald Trump because that's how conservative they apparently are. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it. If it comes down to Joe Biden and Donald Trump, you can bet you know who I'm voting for. Because Joe Biden, first off, isn't going to be in office for long. It's going to be his running mate that the Democrats choose for him, which is going to be a crazy socialist progressive candidate that's going to run everything. Then we have the down tickets. Do you realize that we have some serious swing states right now for Senate? And if the Democrats hang on to the House, which I hope they don't, and they take over the Senate, which I hope they don't with some of these swing states, but let's say they do, if they have a Joe Biden that gets cast to the side, then we have an extreme Democrat. Let's just throw the name out there, Kamala Harris, and say that it's her, with a Democrat-run Senate and a Democrat-run House of Representatives. Can you imagine what this country is going to be like? Can you imagine the things they're going to ram through? How about the Green New Deal? The ridiculous, most dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life. Gun restrictions, higher taxes, spending out the wazoo for social programs. Illegal immigration, the flood that would come across the border if they had a majority in the House, in the Senate, and they get that presidency. But we can continue to bicker amongst ourselves and hate Donald Trump because, well, he had a bad past. I get he had a bad past. He was a billionaire that was like 20, 30 years old. He could do whatever he wanted to. Of course he's going to have a bad past. Who cares? What he's talking about and what he's advocating for right now at this moment is what's important. And yes, character does matter. Character does matter with an individual, but at the same time, when they've been steady and consistent on a message and an agenda for what they want to do in the leadership and in the position that they're running for, then that's what matters as well. And I'll take a business mindset over a crazy progressive liberal socialist any time of the day because then we could see exactly where we're going. And he's cut some spending. It's gone down a little bit, and then we spent $3 trillion on a recovery package for COVID-19, and that kind of went back the other direction, but he was working on it little by little. Speaking of, when we come back, we have got to take a break in just a minute here. When we come back, Republicans are under attack because they're trying to protect small business from liability cases at the federal courts because of COVID-19. If you get sick at one of the business establishments, then they have the right to sue you. The business, meaning you as a small business, mom and pop shop. They can sue you for not having the proper procedures in place. Is that right? Republicans trying to block that from happening, and Democrats going after them, the media going after them for that one. Plus, if you're receiving unemployment during the COVID-19 pandemic, are you spending more than what you normally would if you weren't on unemployment? There's a new study out that says that individuals on the unemployment with the additional $600 a week supplement from the CARES Act are actually spending 10% more than if they weren't on social programs. Why? You would think this would be a time of crisis. I wanted to talk about it yesterday. We didn't get a chance to do it, so we'll do that real quick when we come back here as well. Why would you spend more if you're getting that money instead of setting it aside for the rainy day when it runs out, or if the businesses end up getting hurt that badly? We'll talk about that when we come back. All that and more here on The Voice of Reason. It's a Friday. Let's wrap up on a fun note here, shall we? Make sure to visit us, HoosierReason.com. Lots of stuff going on there. Sign up for the podcast no matter what podcasting site you like. We appreciate that. One more segment coming up. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station.
We're here for you.
Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HoosierReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hoosierholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Oh, I love it. Welcome back into the show. One more segment. It goes by way too fast. We still need the 3 hours back. We got to work on that. Little by little, my friends, welcome into it. Appreciate you hanging out with us today on a Friday. Your hard-earned week is done and over, and now you get to enjoy, and I appreciate you hanging it out and doing it with me right here. I get comments every day. Every day. They're like, Andy, it's time for the Irish music. Yeah, well, go and have an adult beverage with your Irish music. Why? Because that's what I'm going to do at the end of the day. That's the perfect way to wrap up a beautiful week. All right. So, are you first off, 2 questions. Are you on the unemployment because you've been laid off from work during the COVID-19 pandemic? And number 2, have you spent more money? According to the New York Times, Americans who received the enhanced unemployment benefits due to COVID-19 spent more than what they were when they were working, according to a study released last week, adding concerns about a step fall in spending when the emergency benefit expires. Now, at the end of the day, it comes down to you and I being fiscally responsible. If you don't know how to do that, listen to Dave Ramsey all over the radio because he's a great one to talk about how to get out of debt and save money. And this was kind of the wake-up call, I think, for a lot of individuals that maybe that's an opportunity to say, wait a second, maybe I should have that emergency fund. But it doesn't surprise me if more individuals are spending more than what they were before, because if more money's coming in, they want to spend it for some reason, because apparently that's the responsible thing to do. I don't get that. I would be the one that would want to save it because I'm paranoid whether my job's going to come back in a relatively decent time or whether my benefits are going to run out or what's going to be the next step thereafter. But that goes into a lot of individuals that like to spend and cap out the credit cards and just, if they got it, they got to spend it. They don't want to set it aside for a rainy day or for their retirement or for college funds or paying off debt or anything like that, which is why when we see wages go up, and wages, by the way, thanks again to President Donald Trump, wages have gone up at the highest than they've ever been. Unemployment was at the best that it's ever been. Unemployment rate's extremely low. More people working than ever before. The median income was higher than it's ever been under President Donald Trump, and businesses that love the fact that he was cutting regulations. He's been cutting so many regulations that he's topped Ronald Reagan's record for cutting regulations in the government. That's how much of a terrible conservative he is, right? And because of that, people were excited, and the economy grew, and the economy boomed. And that was his pride. He was a business guy that wanted to get the economy going, and he did it. And now it's coming back, and it took an entire pandemic and the shutdown of a nation for 3 months to get back to the peak of what Barack Obama was at. I heard that one, and that was, I thought, very clever. But when we see taxes get cut, when we see regulations get cut, when we see the economy boom, when we see median income rising, that's a good thing. But then people still talk about being in debt, and people still talk about struggling. And there's got to be some level at some point where we finally say, we've done all we can. Now it's up to you to be responsible with your finances. So have you been on the unemployment, and have you spent more? Looking at some of the comments, a lot of individuals are saying, no, we've actually been stashing it away, been putting it down for the rainy day. Yeah, got to save it up to buy more toilet paper. That would make sense. That would be, yeah.
I'm a big kid now.
I guess that would be a great way to spend your money if you're going to have that additional $600 a week from the federal government, is to spend it on the toilet paper. You never know how this thing's going to evolve. I never understood that why everybody rushed out and bought toilet paper, of all things. Not the food. Well, the food kind of went, but not the same pace as toilet paper. Not masks. Not hand sanitizer, which it did at some point, but not right away. No, it was the toilet paper. I don't know what I would do without the toilet paper. So there it is. If you spend more money, then why? Is it buying the essentials? Is it buying things that you're concerned about? I have to admit, the wife and I, when we got concerned about it, we went out and we purchased more things. We bought some more food. We didn't buy the toilet paper because we couldn't find any. We bought some more food for the freezer. We did buy some more ammunition. We didn't purchase a firearm. We already had some firearms, but we bought some ammunition. You didn't know what was going to happen. We bought some of the essentials of if we're out needing to camp out or do whatever, some of the essentials in that sense. There's nothing wrong with that. But overall, consistently, have you been spending more money? If you are, then maybe that's something to think about and say, wait a second. I need to reevaluate, because if this runs out, the government can't continue to provide for you for that long. People are, especially progressives, they're going to wait and try and not work for as long as possible because they're scared to death of the virus. So therefore, they're going to say, I don't feel safe. You need to keep paying me the unemployment. And then when it runs out, they're going to try and file the lawsuits. Democrats are going to try to extend it. It's going to be a whole issue. We spend more money at the federal government, and then we have a whole nother battle on our hands, which all wrapped into a nice little bow means that we need to maintain Republican majority to stop all that dumb things from happening. And on that note, we'll wrap up for the week. We got a big lineup for you next week. Don't miss any of it. Make sure to check out who'syourreason.com. Podcast going up in just a little bit. We've been killing it on the podcast number, so thank you for that one. We appreciate that each and every day. Until then, be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason, as this is the Voice of Reason. And everybody have a wonderful, fantastic, outstanding weekend. Back at it on Monday. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.